hasn't Prototype killed us yet. We've been fighting toy after toy, and all of these were thrown at us by Prototype to stop or slow us down, but we managed to overcome each time. When we got rid of Huggy, Mommy, Miss Delight, Catnap, but somehow we're still alive. If every enemy Prototype used failed, then why didn't he finish the job himself? The truth is, Prototype doesn't actually want to kill us, at least not right away. Maybe he knows how capable we truly are, like Poppy tells us. What if it was his plan from the beginning for us to destroy the evil toys he sent us? Let's start from the beginning. Recently, I've often raised the question of how to find the flower letter, but that's because you can glean a lot of information from it. For example, there are several mistakes. A word is spelled wrong, and there's a misplaced apostrophe in the word strange. This indicates that the letter was sent to us by a child or a toy that used to be a child and didn't know how to write properly. There were theories that Crafty Corn wrote it because it's written in red ink, and we know she has a strange obsession with the color red.
Now, can you give me some red? More red, please. You're hiding more red from me. Give it here!
It's also assumed that since she likes to draw, she participated in drawing the giant poppy flower near the podiums in Chapter 1, but how could Crafty Corn know about us, and why would she need us to return to the factory besides being part of the smiling creatures? She doesn't really have any other significance in the game. At least not now, and we can also assume that the smiling creatures were killed by Catnap closer to the hour of joy, meaning she wouldn't have been alive to write this letter. Finally, since her character loves to color, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to assume she was once a child, and her note mentions that the staff is still here, not children, so it doesn't quite add up. As for other characters like Dogday couldn't have written this letter since he was chained up, and Poppy didn't write it because she was stuck in her deal for 10 years. So who could it be? Maybe Prototype stands behind this letter. Maybe he didn't write it himself, but he could have had a toy that would do it for him. This toy was most likely a child. Judging by the grammatical issues in the letter, they could even stage mistakes to evoke a sense of guilt in the player and compel us to return and maybe seek revenge. I assume that the player actually had some connection to the Hour of Joy. It's related to the VHS tape we heard during our hallucinations in the house. The cute house, where the voice on the radio told us that we were supposed to be there, but we missed the event and any planning that led to it. So we definitely played an important role on that faithful day. But for some reason, we were in the present moment, and the guilt of our survival manifested almost throughout the entire third chapter. So let's imagine that we were an employee who made a vow to jumpstart the Hour of Joy, but at the last minute we chickened out or something prevented us. Miss Delight started questioning our existence, maybe hinting that we were present on that faithful day.
Wait, I recognize you. Yes, I remember. You used to work here. How are you? Alive.
It was assumed that we were supposed to join him 10 years ago, but we might have somehow betrayed him. It could have been his twisted way of getting back at us. For example, Catnap didn't immediately kill Dogday. Instead, he tortured him because he knew Dogday was the true leader of the smiling creatures and posed a threat. He also didn't like the fact that Dogday was a heretic, so he wanted his death to be slow and painful. The same could have happened with Prototype, angered by us for not being present during the Hour of Joy.
Your presence was demanded 10 years ago and you didn't show up. 8/8/1995. You were supposed to be here. Why weren't you here? You missed the event. You missed the meeting. You missed the party.
They waited and almost played with us for some time. Even Huggy and Miss Delight, who are both insane and incredibly hungry, held back for a while before trying to kill us. So perhaps Prototype told his minions to stay put and play with their food, just to make this experience even more traumatizing for us. And it makes sense. The whole goal of Prototype was to exact revenge on the evil employees for what they did to the toys, and it's no secret that we have a dark past. I'm sure we've long endured the trauma from Huggy, issues with Mommy Longlegs, and post-traumatic stress disorder from Miss Delight, plus we were were drugged by catnap, but in the end, we still came out on top. At this stage, Prototype must know what he's doing. We're defeating more and more enemies, but he doesn't seem to be in a rush when it comes to exterminating us. The first theory, and perhaps the most boring one, is that Prototype just likes to play games like Mommy. He wants to see how capable we are of creating the illusion that we actually have a chance to escape the factory. Maybe Prototype just wanted to prolong everything so that the final kill and active revenge would bring more satisfaction, but there must be something else in his plan. The second theory is that Prototype is using us to kill toys so that he can collect more body parts. Object 1006, one of the charming specimens, and we don't know what it looks like. We also know, judging by the Temple of Catnap's last words to Mommy, that he collects pieces of toys to build himself. Prototype is planning something big, and it's clearly very busy, but he still has eyes everywhere, warning him of the right time to collect the corpse and add it to his collection. Perhaps he just doesn't have enough time to engage in real hunting, so instead, he leaves it to us. He somehow knows that we are very capable, and it saves him time as he can continue to do everything he planned. But you have to admit, it's quite strange. The hour of joy has already come, the toys have succeeded, and all the staff are dead, so why did Prototype feel the need to become stronger if his goal has already been achieved? Actually, why are the toys still on this factory? The hour of joy was supposed to be an opportunity for the tormented souls to experience freedom. One might think they achieved it when Mob Entertainment released a YouTube video titled Limited Disappearance, which occurred in 1992. The film tells how Huggy Wuggy escapes from the institution, and the game researchers try to find him. At the end of the tape, Huggy is seen standing in front of the house from all places. And it's here he decided to go. Perhaps it was a friend's house, or the place where he lived before becoming an orphan, like some foster family. But Playtime managed to find a way to bring him back to the factory. 13 years later, Huggy is still here. Why wouldn't he try to escape again? The only logical rationale is that since Huggy is obedient to Prototype, he stays where his master is. But what if Prototype stays at the factory to wait for us? As previously mentioned, before Prototype prepares anything, he collects toy hearts to create this army. Maybe the player has something valuable that could be useful to Prototype. Or what if we ourselves can be useful? Perhaps it's too far-fetched to assume that the player represents a larger body, and Prototype uses it in his grand plan. Now this theory is kind of going off the rails, and frankly, there's not much evidence to support it, but it raises something worth mentioning. The pre-death cries in each chapter. After you die, you're greeted by a buzzing television and a static screen, each of which contains a unique message for the player. Most screens end with the word rise and usually feature motivational lines, which we can assume come from different characters. It always seems strange to me because instead of the usual death screen that just goes black or gives you information, it seems like they're talking directly to the player after death, implying that the story somehow still continues. But how can we hear or see these messages if we're dead? Recently, we investigated the properties of the red gas, known for inducing hallucinations and drowsiness. We also discussed its origin. Elliot Ludwig initially experimented with poppy gel on rats to impact regenerative properties, and we know these substances would then be used during the larger body initiative. Red smoke wouldn't just be diminished to subdue children, but it could also be used to preserve their lives as they transformed into their new bodies and constantly regenerated themselves after they died. We, the player now, primarily encounter these death screens. And as a game mechanic, they're obviously meant to respawn us after defeat so we can continue the game, but the fact that we receive messages urging us to rise after our death suggests to Atessa that we might have some ability to resurrect from the dead, akin to how children's souls are still alive in toys, and if we were a larger body, it would make sense for us to have some involvement in the hour of joy. But what do you think? Why didn't Prototype kill us? Let me know in the comments.